Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the March 2022 episode of the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This episode was recorded on Sunday the 6th of March 2022 using the power of the Force, or otherwise known as Skype. So my name is Stephen, the obligatory Brit of the show, and I am your host of sorts as we get together to talk about Star Wars. For the next 2 hours you'll get to hear only positive Star Wars chat, where we enjoy whatever Star Wars is served up to us and have fun along the way. Life is too short to hate, and we all know where hate leads. That's Anakin. So therefore we like to keep it light and fluffy in here, like a Wookiee. So this month's show is brought to you by Jar Jar Binks. This month we are going to have in the back of our minds how fantastic Jar Jar Binks is and how he is the star of the prequel era. But
we shall take this with more humility and
something like that. Each month the show will be brought to you by someone, but we haven't got any sponsors, so we'll just have to choose characters from Star Wars. So this month, as ever,
sponsored by Spice.
Yes. This month I'm joined as ever with my positive friends from across the United States of America. And so in Skype random chat screen order, we have Ryan.
Hello there.
We have Ricky.
Hello.
And we have Ron.
Greetings and salutations, fellow senators and chancellor.
The three R's.
Our team.
The R team, yes. I just realised that. So on this month's show, the main topic is going to be the High Republic, and I think it's been quite a while since we've discussed the comics and the books and the stuff going down in there. And as it's sort of an in-between time at the moment, we just finished one thing.
The long drought.
The Boba Fett, yeah, a long drought. As
so it begins.
As last time. To Kenobi, and when's the Bad Batch?
Is that actually coming out May the 4th?
I don't know. It's.
I haven't seen an official date for that yet.
No. Well, sometime soon anyway.
Just says this year.
So we've got lots of time to catch up. So we'll be going through at a fast space. I was going to make an analogy then, but I can't say it without spoiling sort of things about certain things falling from the sky. But so we'll skip that for now.
We're booting up our path drive since we can get through all this.
Yeah. So we shall get through the standard stuff on the show first, which starts with Around the Table. So to see what everybody's been up to in Star Wars land in the last month. So as ever, Skype random chat order, and that means it's Ryan first.
So it was a relatively simple month. I just I finished the High Republic Mission to Disaster book. I listened to the Ahsoka book again. That's the second time I read that one. And I'm pretty much going back to the Palpatine book. So trying to finish that, and then hopefully I'll get started on my final High Republic book, Midnight Horizon. So that's the last one I got to read in the whole series. So it's just my library wasn't able to get it in time before this call. But I'll be ready for it next month, hopefully. Yeah, that's relatively it. Just doing some reading. Oh, and I finished season 4 of the Clone Wars. So I'm moving along in that still, in that watch. So that's good.
Well, refresher, how did season 4 end? What was the...
Maul is revealed to be alive.
Maul's back.
Yep. So was that a big surprise at the time? Or was it like announced ahead of time?
No, I think it was a bit of a deal. But I don't think it was
wasn't
any
it?
sort of great reveal, if I recall, because we had Savage looking for him, and we kind of
Yeah.
something knew he was coming back. It was the how, I think, was the spidery and finding him in the trash heap or whatever, and all
Yeah.
that bit of craziness was the reveal of sorts. But I think seemed to kind
Everyone
of think we knew he
speculated
was
the
coming.
the spider legs thing because of the that comic that came out where he looked like that. So
Oh, yeah.
I remember being interested in watching it when they were when they revealed Maul was going to be in there. I'm like, I better start watching the show because I jumped in the lead.
Oh, you didn't start
Nope.
from the beginning.
I didn't even
Ricky.
watch the movie. Right?
I've got a feeling.
You had-
I think I'm similar. I think when the whole Maul thing was roughly when I watched it the first time, and I sort of gradually caught up at the same time as
Yeah.
we
Well,
go.
my timeline's a mess. Yeah, you have kids, but they weren't around for the movie
No,
and
yeah,
started
I
it
wasn't
yet.
even married yet. I think when that was like what 2005.
Okay.
I was like 24 and I was working, so I didn't really have time to watch cartoons on Friday night. So
What's changed? What's changed?
Yeah, right.
Always,
More
yeah,
responsibility.
always time.
You're watching more.
I have a better job.
Although
now
I
if
think I
have
did,
this
I think I
time
did
off.
lean on my kids in terms of having an excuse to watch them and used it as an opportunity to check it out, because I was worried it was going to be droids or Ewoks, but then found out no, it seemed to be very early on that it was going to be legit storytelling. It was Obi-Wan and Anakin and whoever Anakin has a Padawan kind of thing or whatever, but
Yeah.
ended up definitely got sucked into it and happy I
think
did
I
versus
rented
not
the
trying to go
movie
back.
on DVD when it came out, and then that was it. And then I kind of caught some stuff on Cartoon Network here and there, like they would show the reruns every now and then. But to actually sit there and watch it, I wasn't watching it. And that show kind of does benefit where you can just hop in and watch an episode. But definitely did catch up with the Netflix back when they used to mail you DVDs in the mail. So that's
Oh,
how
wow.
Boy.
I
Yeah.
saw the movie in the cinema, so I must have seen it when it came out. And we had this conversation before. I think we always have this conversation. It's like, this isn't what I was expecting, sort of thing. When I saw it, I think I didn't think enough of it to chase it. And I think the Cartoon Network at that time was on a subscription channel in the UK, so I don't think there's much chance of me seeing it without paying extra back then. So
I wasn't a big fan of the Gendy series either, so I was kind of turned off already on
No,
the
I wasn't
Star Wars
either.
animation.
Blasphemy. But
I
and
like
hear-
it now.
And hearing you guys talk or whatever, I think what it was is I was excited. You recall my story and everything, but I was excited to have some Star Wars to share with my kids. And so that Gendy series, as small as it was like, oh, here's something. And the Clone Wars was, here's something. And it was in the big screen, or it was on the big screen. It was in the theater. So definitely did that. And then was getting that opportunity to witness Star Wars on screen with my girls that I ended up taking to it.
That does make a huge difference because once I had my daughter, then everything was like, well, you got to watch this and let's do this.
Well, yeah, you forget that the animation aspect is going to appeal to kids. Ahsoka, I didn't know that, and luckily had that aspect or whatever. But they obviously glommed onto Ahsoka a little bit. So yeah, that might be where my
Like, let's watch this cartoon where she beheads 6 Mandalorians.
didn't do that at first, but yeah, it does get a little. You take it. You just watch and go, oh, okay, that happened. But yeah, if you think about it in the context of, wait, people are watching this with their kids, and that just happened. But
can you imagine that if social media had developed to the level that it is now, back when sort of like Maul was resurrected, what it would have been like? We would have had another complete drama, as they say, wouldn't we? Properly over it all. You can't bring him back. He's dead. He's chopped in half, and all that kind of stuff. But nobody really talks about that now.
No.
To any sort of negative degree, do they? It's a little bit of a joke, but no more than a little.
they've created enough good story after
Exactly.
bringing him back that it's for someone like me that was never happy that they brought him back, whatever. I'm still not and won't ever be, but he's involved in enough part of the story, and they've done enough good things with him that, okay, he's back, but he was gone the first time the right way. So I'm glad too that they did finally sort of finish him off.
And it's strange, like
in a
when I
proper
watched
way.
episode 1 in theaters the first time, like on opening night, I was like, they killed him already? This guy was awesome. I have his lightsabers at home. Like, why did he, what a waste. And then like episode 2 came out, and then like a villain dies in like every movie. Like they introduce one and he's gone.
Yeah, I gotta find that interview.
gotta
George
fight
learned his
something.
lesson. Yeah, George learned his lesson about Boba Fett, and just like, I don't care that he's cool. I'm killing him off.
Like Duke
Slicing
was
him in
really in
half
one
and
movie
shoving him
only.
down a shaft. It's endless.
Grievous is in one
you know
movie
he's
only.
dead.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
crazy.
Now I've totally forgotten from the time that he falls down the shaft, and then we see him in that episode in the Clone Wars. Do we get the story in between?
I don't think we ever have like how he got to that planet.
No, I just
I think
wonder-
it's just general that he was
He was in the trash.
healed. You know,
Well, yeah, he was maintained life through the Force or through his
Right,
dark side, anger, and all that sort of stuff to stay alive. I think I'm speculating a little bit here, but I think whatever he fell down was in the trash heap, and he got scooped up in that trash heap or whatever that sort of thing was, and got there and started dark side willing of the Force to create something and make him mobile again, and he just hung out there and went crazy. But yeah, I don't know that there's a full on
Or
explanation.
Palpatine actually taught him how to stop himself from dying.
And Qui-Gon takes a poke to the gut and can't maintain.
Well, Jedi's don't
Okay.
come to life. Jedi are like
heart.
a bigger
The
picture
heart.
kind of thing.
You think he got stabbed in the
If it's
heart?
through the heart, then he's dead, isn't he?
I don't think he gets stabbed in the heart though, because he gets stabbed in the gut.
it's medium. Maybe
I
his
mean, he's an
species
alien,
is a low
so
heart.
maybe like all his like vital organs are on the top half. of his
Qui-Gon's not
body.
not a human.
No, I mean Darth Maul. That's why he survived. Everything is on the top.
Oh, him getting
Yeah.
bisected. Well, sure, that can be explained, if you will, because he's shoot, what is he?
They're
course
cousins to
not.
Trandoshans. I don't know.
What is he?
That's
No, so-
transfusions.
They're cousins to Trandoshans, so he can grow back his legs.
But he's not. What is Maul? Maul is
Zabrak, right?
Zabrak, yeah. So we don't know about them. So, all right, bisected in half. Maybe somehow there's some way, whatever. But he was bisected in half and fell down a shaft. So he was dead. Damn it!
This is
Oh,
why
Qui-Gon takes a poke to the gut
there's-
and can't maintain. But that's where we're
That
at.
liver.
You see, Dooku
Liver
had his
is
head
really
chopped
important.
off. Grievous had his heart shot, and Jango Fett got his head chopped off. So, yeah, he didn't
But
get
they're
his
dead.
head,
They're
right?
dead, and they're dead.
Palpatine got blown up. So yeah, I mean, it's
See, and I always wondered at the end of Return of the Jedi when he falls down that shaft, why does it like explode? Like, what was that?
I
His
assumed
electricity.
I always assumed he just turned into sort of force energy,
Yeah, that's what it's vague. So I mean, the
which
probability.
sort of as things turn out in the end, sort of like seems to be the assumption, doesn't it? Anyhow,
Well, with that season 2, they're going to show how.
Well,
he
yeah, I
survived.
guess as a kid, I kind of thought he reached like the reactor or whatever's down there. He finally hit that thing
Yeah.
and got burned up. Like dropping a piece of
Blew up.
wood into a fire doesn't go poof right away. It's once it hits the embers or whatever is where it catches on fire. or
Because
actually-
Lando and them shooting the reactor actually made it blow up, and not Palpatine falling down there with lightning.
Yeah. No, he had nothing to do with blowing it up. But yeah.
why do people always? I'm sure we would all do the exactly same. If we got thrown off a cliff, we'd all start screaming. But what is the actual point? Because it's not going to save you, is it? I mean, he gets thrown over. He's going. I mean,
It is if you're Banshee from X-Men, but
you're not.
I
it
think
doesn't matter
that's
how low do you
just
you-
human. Throw a cat off a cliff. I'm pretty sure it's going to scream and carry on. Maybe so. Just not that I've done that. Not that
Don't do that,
this
Joe.
is being recorded, right? Yeah.
Don't do-
no.
That's not cool. That's Ron does not
leave Boo Boo alone.
Positive Star Wars Senate podcast does not endorse Ron's views there.
But I think it's just human nature to, you haven't prepared yourself for, especially if you were thrown off or something like that. You're
Yeah,
gonna,
I would scream, but I'm just wondering why humans do it because it doesn't actually help you at all. But anyhow,
the forwardness of George, whatever, having that flash at the end, unexplained, we all made it, but it allows for then somehow Palpatine's return to some extent, a little bit or whatever.
Makes
He turned into the Force, but having him
Flash
back.
Gordon, the bad guy always comes back. So that's the old.
Yeah, but this wasn't Flash Gordon. I hate that analogy. This isn't Flash Gordon. This is Star Wars.
It's better. Yes.
Okay.
I said.
Right, all right. We shall move along then. Ricky, last month.
This past month, okay, I actually did. I mean, besides reading all the books after, what was the last one that came out? Out of the Shadows. I started reading that, and then I finished it and read all the, the rest of those, Crashmore Tower and everything. Besides that, I did end up getting I have Xbox, so on the EA Pass thing, whatever, they have the Sims 4 game, and you can buy the Star Wars pack. I've never played a Sims game, and it was totally hard, like trying to get into it. But I mean, that's actually pretty cool. You get to walk around like Galaxy's Edge. You have to create a character and all that stuff, which takes like hours. But Yeah, it's got Hondo in there, and you can walk around. You have to do little missions to either be a resistance or a first order. But yeah, it was pretty cool doing that. It was something that I would never have gotten into, and I think I've only played it like a couple times since then. But I had to check it out just because it was still a Star Wars thing in a game that I never looked at. What else did I do? That, and then I haven't bought anything new. I don't believe. Oh, you know what? I started watching the High Republic show on YouTube. So. That's the other thing. But yeah, other than that, just been doing lots and lots of reading. So and getting caught up with the comic books and all that stuff. So it's been good. Lots of content.
Okie dokie. So we move on to the last R. Ron. And before you go, Ron, everybody's been on bated breath since last month, dying to know the parcel update. And this is the exclusive to this podcast. You won't hear it anywhere else. You remember, everybody, last month, Ron was waiting patiently for a parcel to turn up at his door. It didn't happen. Ron picks up the story. Tell us, Ron.
So yeah, we're waiting for that last Senate. It didn't happen that day, but it kind of did happen that day. So I got the note. No, there wasn't a note on the door, note on the app or whatever, that they tried to deliver it at like 12:30, which was in the middle, right at the end or whatever of the Senate. I'm like, I don't think so. So sure enough, I looked back on cameras and all that sort of stuff or whatever. And yeah, I don't think that a delivery driver even drove past my house. Or
Lies,
or it was even. Yeah, exactly. Lies and deceptions indeed. So FedEx kind of dropped the ball on that, saying that they attempted it, but yeah, looking back, there was no attempt made that Sunday whatsoever. So I was very frustrated with that. Changed the order up so that it would get delivered somewhere, a local pickup place or whatever, and went there. The next day, Monday or Tuesday, it actually finally made it there to where I got it picked up. So yes, I have it in hand. No one has guessed what it might have been, however, but it was the Razor Crest I had backed or put in for the Razor Crest, and that was that was what the parcel was. It has the same it has the same fate as the barge.
Oh no! Is it on
not because it's not because it's huge or whatever. It is remarkably smaller. The box. I should get the two comparison side by side just as a photo. But yeah, it's still packaged at the moment because it was one of those impulsy kind of had to have it. But I've got no place yet to put it. You have to build it. The box is deceptively. It's big, don't get me wrong, but it's deceptively small and very rectangular for what that ship is. So I suspect there's a good bit of building. I haven't watched any unboxing.
Does it come with any cargo, like carbonized like bounties in there?
From what I remember of it, I'm not well versed in that sort of stuff because I know I can always look it up. But yeah, I think it was kind of cool in terms of what the project was. It had a bunch of carbonite blocks of different characters and had the hold. I don't remember or know what you can look it up. And that's why I don't know this sort of stuff. I was never a good stat boy in that sense or whatever. If I can look it up, then why spend the brain cells trying to remember? But I kind of remember the barge came with a couple of figures, carded figures that you could only exclusively get with the barge. I don't remember if the Razor Crest had carded figures or had some special. I kind of do remember carbonite blocks, like 6 different carbonite block people or something like that. That was kind of cool. That was part of it. But yeah, happy to have finally had that show up. But yeah, there were lies and deceptions for that fateful day that we were expecting at mid show.
You must have paid extra for the Sunday delivery. Did you get some money back?
No, I definitely didn't. I was very surprised to see it was expected to be delivered on a Sunday, but it's 2022. Things are different. The normal sort of business delivery of Monday through Friday is kind of out the window. I've seen stuff delivered on weird, odd days. So, it was on Hasbro to deliver it. So if they sent it out and said it's coming, then it was. But clearly it was not delivered on a Sunday. And
the UPS driver went to a Super Bowl party.
Yeah, clearly, really suspect that it was never on a truck or never anywhere near being delivered. Because, like I say, looking at cameras to say a delivery was attempted at such and such a time, I saw no evidence of it, and the dog never bothered to care to announce that anybody was at the front door or in the driveway. So that didn't happen. But I did get it, and that was the parcel. It has been received. And
I expect the attempted delivery was the delivery driver thinking about getting out of bed, but didn't.
Yeah, just to say they did, but it didn't happen, kind of thing.
If you do build it, and if you can, save the little the ball from the stick shift for the end. Put that on.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm sure you would imagine it'd have to have that as prominent as that piece was. The
I
parcel.
was going to say one last thing, Rob. One last thing before you get go. The good thing is that at the moment, that in the box in pieces, it's actually authentically just like the Razor Crest is at this minute in time.
Yeah, exactly. I could. It's more screen accurate right now as it is. Just open it up and dump it on the floor and call it good.
Like my Takadana Lego set.
Yeah, exactly. just open the bags, dump them on the floor, and say, "All right, kids, we're finished. Easiest Lego build ever." Some other. I haven't really watched or partaked much in any Star Wars since we was last. And nothing on the screen, nothing needed to happen in that sense, whatever. But found a couple of things out and about that I'll be posting in the chat. One of them was a store exclusive Mandalorian pop. And found him in the clearance section of all things. So he's kind of cool to have added to the collection and picked up a number of them since they existed. But it's a Mando holding a Grogu. It's in that all pink Valentine's look or whatever, or style. I do the pops. I don't do the pops, the exclusives. I don't have to have them all. There's just so many of them. But he was cool, and they obviously found the case after Valentine's Day, so they just threw them all out there on the shelf. So I picked them up, figuring.
This is a new one. I have all the first wave of this. That's the Grogu holding Grogu and Din. I think that's
I kind of assumed it was for this year. Yeah, this year's Valentine's Day release. I didn't see it. I didn't follow it. I don't follow the pops so much to know, but it was a Target exclusive. And it was found, like I say, found on the shelves. A number of them found on the shelves well after Valentine's Day. So I just assumed back stock. They got it, got screwed up and didn't get it out in time, kind of thing, or whatever, to put it out there.
Is that Spider or Lego?
I found a cool Lego set that was, I think I've talked about this in the group proper or whatever, but it was the Luke and the Dark Troopers or whatever hallway corridor scene or whatever. That was a very cool Lego set. One of the few that I'd pick up at retail, if you will, price or whatever. Just a very neat set. So that was in there. And then a local auction, a local collector, didn't know the guy or whatever, but a local auction house was having an auction, and checked it out, and sure enough, there were a couple things that were of interest. So you did that thing where you put the bid in, and if it works, I'm not much of a sniper. I don't snipe at the end. Just, it's what I'm willing to pay. I'll put that bid in there, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. The Spider you're talking about, it's a Omar Monk, Ricky. It was a mail away exclusive. Yeah. I'm sure in between the auction house and the family, whatever, it got separated from its mailing box. I think it came in just a white box. I forget how we got it or whatever. And probably somebody opened the box to see what was in it and said, well, what's this? And didn't put it back in there. Somehow, like Palpatine, it survived. It was literally in a plastic bag, an unsealed plastic bag. All the pieces are in there. Even that big spider bally piece or whatever is in there, and was in sort of a random miscellaneous box of Star Wars ephemera or whatever. The spider ball had gotten separated from it. Luckily, I didn't go, what's this, and pitched it. I said, I'm going to hold on to everything, and eventually found the bag that was the legs and the body, the claw, the brain, and everything, and realized what it was, put it together, because the mailer box is long since gone. Instructions and everything wasn't to be found. Whatever. So that's on my display case. Thought that was kind of cool. But the big thing
was really cool. I gotta say, I really like that one.
The Lego collection. There were some old Legos that were in there, and I'm realizing the one photo is upside down. But it was a early series Lego set, but it's called a Tusken Raider Encounter, and I guess it's Anakin on the speeder. With a bunch of Tusken Raiders or whatever, but just it kind of fit the current Mando theme and Boba Fett theme of the speeder and the Tuskens and all that. That I was like, oh, while it's not that, it's a neat set to have. So pick that up.
Anytime I see that gold Star Wars logo, I get nostalgic, because that's all prequel stuff, and I love it.
Yeah. So that's what sort of enticed me to bid, I don't want to say heavily, but, I made sure I put a decent bid to try for these or whatever, because the other one was an early X-Wing. I remember when the Legos came out and all the various lines that we had or whatever, and the Legos started making Star Wars things, and I looked at them and just turned my nose at them. I was just like, ew, they're out of scale. They're clunky looking. They're not the right, they're Lego pieces that exist right now trying to make an X-Wing, and sure, it kind of looks like an X-wing, and yeah, whatever, it's Star Wars, but pass. Well, I wished I wouldn't have, because some of those early Star Wars sets maintain their value. Let's say they definitely have gone up in any sort of unused or unopened aspect if you have any of those early Star Wars sets. And now looking back on it, this X-wing that's in the chat that I won at the auction is kind of neat for what it is in terms of where they've come, because the X-wings nowadays, any of the ships or anything Lego looks really good. Really they build specific Lego pieces for the sets, and they just look really sharp. So seeing this early iteration of them, if you will, is kind of nostalgic or a neat throwback, whatever. One of the other things that was in the set that was kind of talked about last, I'm putting it in the chat now. It wasn't these specifically, but one of the box lots had some of this ephemera from from Taco Bell or Pizza Hut. These little tokens of sorts, these little plastic pieces that were in some things or whatever. Stephen, I think you were talking about them. I don't think these are those, because these I think are a bit specific to the States, but it was just a neat. The figures are easy to collect. If you want to go make a collection of the figures, you can get on eBay or various things, and you could probably secure a line. Obviously, you need the money for some of the rare ones or whatever, but you could probably find all that. But this weird stuff kind of always entices me, and I find intriguing because it's, I think it'd be harder to find these things or complete this set. These little puzzle pieces, I don't have a good individual shot, but they're Boba Fett's in different colors. So that was sort of my foray into the Star Wars here last week. The other one I was going to post that was in there, the auction had Thrawn, so I was able to score a Thrawn, a 3 3/4 Thrawn. And last but not least, this guy, for Ryan might appreciate this. Ryan, I might have to hook you up. Shadows of the Empire comic 2-pack that was Boba Fett and IG-88. There's a number of these that are kind of openers. They just, the previous owner didn't take care of them. They were big. They were very hard to keep pristine, because that's a big, giant plastic bubble. And if you don't display it the right way, or, pack it the right way. So I don't know, between the original owner, the auction house, the family that brought it to there, whatever, he had a couple of them, and that was where the auction house kind of screwed up a little bit. They would have these lots of 6 figures or 8 figures, the green Power of the Force and the red, and they also did the Phantom Menace. But one of the lots would have like 3 Anakins of the 6 figures, and it was the same Anakin. It was just like, oh, well, you guys really need a Star Wars aficionado or a consultant of some sort or whatever to help you, because they could have army built, or they could have made a lot that was
Ron, I sense a retirement career.
I don't think they get that many Star Wars things to know what they were doing. They just, and you can tell too, the way they did the online auction, and they were taking pictures, and the early lots were very well informed and great pictures, and the front and the back of the card and all. And then the lot described that it was Luke and Anakin and R2 and C-3PO and all. And then the later lots just says 8 Star Wars figures, and the picture is of all 8 of them, and then the other picture is the back of the 8 of them. And they just got tired of taking, because I don't know, there's 200-300 lots. They just got tired of taking photos of it. So the later ones, you had to truly scroll through and pick through to see if there was anything in there. And I think I was able to score a couple of the Mara Jade. Who'd I say? Thrawn.
You find some cool stuff out there.
Some.
Yeah, I don't know where you find this.
Yeah, that's
just lucky. It was a local auction. I mean, you could go online and find it right now, I'm sure. But
as abundant as that prequel merch was, like, to see it now, it's like it's been like literally decades since I've seen that stuff. So like that's cool, especially the it was a little exciting to kind of see it lay hands. I went to the preview. The one thing, the auction house again didn't know what they had, so they had, being an online auction, whatever, they had it all laid out on tables, really long tables, had taped little sections that say, here's lot. I'm hoping they don't listen to the podcast.
No, I didn't need them to, because they screwed it up. Here's lot 24. So you could go online, find lot 24 and look at it and see the condition and cards, blah, 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 sort of stuff. Well, once the auction was over, they went through and collected up like the 6 lots that I won and bundled them all together and put them over here in this section. So they just threw them into a box and threw them into a tub for, they thought they were doing me and anybody else that won their various lots a favor by collecting them all up. So when it was time to show up and pick up, you go to this section and pick it up. You don't have to walk all over the 3 or 4 rows of tables that you need. But they didn't understand that what we were buying was also the condition, not just the item, but some of the cards got a little dinged, or that could have been handled better. Again, I don't think they understood or quite knew what they had or didn't care. What am I going to do? Say here, I don't.
Yeah, they're not collectors.
They
don't care.
Yeah, they're just not collectors. They should. They're an auction house. They sell all kinds of stuff. They sell Longenberger collections. They sell whatever other kind of collections. They should understand that it was a collectible type of thing. I think they were very worried that if somebody came in, like I say, lot 21 was in a 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 section of the table, whatever, taped out or whatever, and then the next one was literally right next to it. So I think they were worried that when person came for lot 21, they could have easily swapped out their sorry, I'm going to do this just because they could have swapped out the Jar Jar for Thrawn that was in the one next to him, kind of thing, and the auction house personnel wouldn't necessarily know. They'd have to keep really strict watch as people were coming in trying to pick it up. So I understand it, but yeah, they could have done it better. It's been a fun.
I don't know what you paid for your packaging of those figures, but I know that comic book, grade it. If you get it, grade it, and it looks like it's in great condition. The thing sells for over $100.
The comic book itself?
Yeah, if you get it graded, it sells for over $100. I mean, it's like $30 just for
you'd
the
have
comic
to take it
online.
out of the package, right?
Yeah, you'd have to unpackage it.
We can talk.
But yeah, the package.
There's a number of them.
The package looks fantastic. There's no yellowing on it whatsoever. So
that particular one,
like it's never been.
There's one that Bubble was crushed, and I think another one had a bit of a yellow.
There's no yellowing or anything, and that comic is in pristine format. And Shadows of the Empire, some of that EU stuff goes for a lot of money, even though it's really poor stories. And they go for,
I still got to read that. I have that novel. I got it at a secondhand store, and I got to read it. I have some of the issues, but I want to read
that particular lot. I'm kind of happy that they bundled similar packaging or similar things, because it was a lot of 4 or I think it was 4 of those in one's Prince Caesar or Zizor, whatever, how do you say it? Caesar, and whoever he's with. I'm like, well, that's an interesting. I know those are somewhat interesting to people, or people would want it, especially Fett being back around, whatever. So Ryan, I'm curious, have you read that comic? Is that a bad story that's in that particular comic of that 2-pack?
I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read it. But honestly, personally, I was never really a fan of any of the post Return of the Jedi stories. I mean, I've read a bunch of the comics.
Caesar, kidnap Leia and then they have to rescue her or something because he's in love with her. Or, I don't know, something like that.
And Palpatine still returns. It's all really the same over and over again. And I've always been more into Force users, flips and stuff. So everything after the Return of the Jedi, just really isn't all my bag.
This was the Empire era. It was before Return of the Jedi, Shadows of the Empire.
It was it was before?
Yeah, it was in between Empire and it was in between Return of the Jedi. Or no, maybe before, I don't know. I can't remember if it's between A New Hope and Empire or if it's after. But yeah.
And so, I'm realizing that we're doing a podcast and we're looking at pictures that I posted in the chat for everyone listening. Hopefully they know what we're talking about. But there was back in the day a comic book 2-pack. There was a number of them where they did these 2-packs. So it's 2 figures. It's Boba Fett versus IG-88. There's a comic book behind it, Shadows of the Empire. I don't know that it has a title or of the story or whatever.
But it was number on there?
It was on a carded. It was on a card. It's a huge card, obviously, because it's 2 figures packed in with their guns and everything. It was a large comic book, exclusive Dark Horse comic book type of thing. So it was a neat pack. It was a neat thing. I vaguely remember
on the comic too, which is
back in the day. I see that. Does say Kenner. And remember thinking those were kind of neat because it was a cool thing for kids. You had 2 figures and a comic book telling you a story about those 2 figures. Now, it wasn't the movie stuff. It was ancillary stuff, as Ryan's talking about, how, whether it's a good story or not a good story, but still, it seemed like a really cool thing for kids. How many kids actually scored these things versus the yahoos like me that bought them and collected them and shoved them in a plastic tub.
Oh,
Realized, so there's always that realization when it comes to things like this. It's
And
like,
they've
that's
done
cool
a
for kids,
few
but
of
how many
those.
of us gobbled them up and never let a kid stand a chance to see them? So I think
They
we kind
did
of
a
shot
few of those
ourselves
for
in the
the
foot.
Republic Dark Horse run because I think I bought the one with Quinlan Voss and it came with the comic and it came with
Mhm.
the figure and stuff like that. Like I love those. Those remind me of the old like, He-Man action figures where it came with the little comic book. So anytime
I
I see
don't-
those, I
I
gobble
wish
it
I
up.
was better at it. I don't know if FET. I would imagine FET and IG-88 that are in there are repo. I don't think they're exclusive to the set. I'm sure they probably existed in some other card form. I'm not that well informed of my figures and to know whatever. But yeah, that was a fun score in that auction. So yeah, my Star Warsing was light this past month in terms of watching, but very heavy in terms of adding to the collection, if you will. Always fun.
And a nice pair of legs there, Ron, as well in that photo.
Say again, Chance. Oh, yeah. I didn't get a chance to crop it. Stop.
They're not metal.
No, you're they're not metal.
Excellent.
Yeah, I got to flip the one.
As ever, Ron is a correspondent when it comes to finding deals and buying stuff. With that spider, I remember that in it's the Book of Boba Fett, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Spider thing was in, yeah. But I thought
Yeah, walked across the screen.
They're
Yeah,
in Return of the
it
Jedi too, apparently in the
I
background.
think
Yeah,
it
it's
was
in-
red. Liquid was red, wasn't it?
No.
It's blue in that spider.
No, there's a light that blinks red underneath. The
Oh,
liquid is
that's
blue, though.
what I got it in my head. It was red. Okay, so that was its.
Isn't there something to Jabba's palace? Was where the monks
It was a
monastery or whatever, something like that. So they still are around or something. I don't know their full
basement.
story, but yeah, they're in Return of the Jedi flitting around. A very, you think in 83, 82 when they're creating this creature, whatever, that is just a bold choice of the spiderish looking thing with the brain. It just a very, very bold choice of a creature. It's very briefly seen, but it's a little spooky. So it was kind of neat that they put it in the Mando so we could see it out. That it was out and about and on the desert sands of Tatooine kind of goes against the monk and the monastery because it almost looks like it's a creature out scavenging along the land versus enlightenment or whatever it is.
Monks go for walks every day, so
Touche.
Yeah, they
They wanted to
They travel for someplace to sit.
take in more of the world and see everything. So then they don't want to die and miss out and stuff. So they put their minds into these little jars, I'm assuming, and then they can walk around forever. So
But
Yeah, it's
how
for
big
inner,
are they?
it's for inner peace. It's in the book Tales from Jabba's Palace, and it actually talks about the monks a lot in several different stories. And that was the original way Bib Fortuna died, and he was placed in one of the spiders. So it's an EU book, but still, it was one of the original way Bib Fortuna died.
Yeah, but what's the scale on those things? How big are they? Because they look like the size of your hand.
That's a human brain.
Yeah, no, it's a three,
I
it's
thought
a
you meant-
3 3/4 scaled figure, if you will. You can see, well, you'd have to know what those are, or whatever. But
Can
Ahsoka
you-
is a itty bitty from the Hallmark store, and the other Ahsoka is a what was the line of toys, Ricky, for the video game?
the Infinities.
Infinities,
Disney
yes.
Infinities.
So yeah,
I
it's
have that
not.
Ahsoka one.
It's not. It does fit. Those 6
But
legs do fit in the
Three
palm of my
3/4
hand.
inch. You can put the Boba Fett figure on top of him, and he can ride it like a bantha.
Like a panther.
There were some Rancors. I should find the listings. There were some Rancors, big giant window box Rancors, and they were commanding some serious money. There were 2 of those, and the boxes were beat, but I was very surprised to see, and obviously a new Y. And then there was Naboo, the N1 starfighters, the yellow starfighters that were there. I'm like, oh, those would be interesting. Wonder if anybody knows what those are. Sure enough, somebody knew what they were because those commanded their share of money as well. Because I'm sure the secondary market for those right now is kind of popular, if you will. So did not win the. I was in on them. I was in on, but not the Rancor because I didn't know where I was going to put that. But I thought the N1s would have been cool.
Yeah, you're definitely lucky. I got nothing like that around me.
I just happened to, yeah. Like I say, you could go online and buy and win and have it shipped to you, but that's no fun for me. The being able to lay eyes on it, see it, and know that I can go pick it up and all that. It just, yeah. To own or to get something like that, you could probably go do it right now and find some auction that has that item because it was made. There's so many of them, but having a local auction house, it is luck. I mean, it was. I did pick up. What did I pick up? I picked up a box of cards. Dude won a lot from eBay, and it still had his name and address on it. So I looked at his obit, and I think he was passed away 59. So he's, he was of that original era. There was a lunchbox and a original lunchbox and thermos, the black Starfield X-wing type. The traditional Star Wars lunchbox. That was one of the vintage. There was very few vintage things there, but that was there. And the cards, which is always my kryptonite, or always my go-to, because that's what started all this for me, is the cards. There was orange, red, green, and yellow series cards. And while I have a bunch of blue series 1, those later series kind of trailed off. So I picked that up and found his name. So yeah, he was a collector of sorts, had some kids, and they obviously wanted no part of it. And shipped it off to a local auction house, and they sold it all off.
Okay. And I've just had a cup of tea brought into me, so that means it must be time for the news.
Hey, what did you do this past month?
Oh, me? Nothing. No.
You bought a book, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I was going to say
that was last month.
If you can inject an Annie or something in here wrecking the podcast, yes, I have ordered my very first Star Wars novel book. Yes, so from reading no Star Wars material in the last year, I've gone to reading all the High Republic books. Well, not all of them, but the majority of them, and now actually buying one because for some bizarre reason, Midnight Horizon is not due for release until July in the UK.
Wow.
And I ain't waiting for that long. So I ordered it online. It's coming from Sweden, so it should be here in a week.
You can't get it on audio.
Audible? No. Yeah, I emailed. Well, I said this in the chat, didn't I? So I tweeted Audible UK and said, "Oi, when's Midnight Horizon coming out on Audible here in the UK?" And they sent me a link. They go, "It's already out." I go, "That's the US Audible site." They go, "Oh, okay. Well, you better email this address. It's some content request email address." And I did that about a week ago. I haven't heard anything so far. And I thought, wow.
It's so weird. It's just an audio.
Yeah.
Really. What's the hang up there?
I don't know. Then I saw the book wasn't due. The actual hardcover book wasn't actually due for release until July. So I thought, well, probably.
I can read it and then record it and you can listen to it.
I was wondering this morning if you I suppose it's actually trademarked. You can't actually read a book and record on YouTube without getting sued. I'm sure. Could you?
I don't know.
Well, you couldn't charge for it anyway, surely.
Well, no.
But yeah, so my first, not my first Star Wars physical book, but it's my first Star Wars novel book that I have. And I don't really like hardcovers because they just take up more shelf space and stuff. But hey, needs be. I can always sew it and then get a soft cover when it comes out or something like that.
Yeah, when you guys are saying it was only the first wave, and I have like this giant stack of like 9 books, I'm like, where am I going to put those?
We need to have a reminder of the waves and phases and stuff. Hopefully Ryan's got that in the back of his head because I'm already confused and I'm reading the stuff.
Oh no, I got it. Yeah, all good.
Yeah. So that I'm finishing The Fallen Star and Mission Disaster, read in Audible, both on Audible. And I have posted some reviews, which you can always retweet my reviews. I very rarely get around to actually typing things up and posting them on my blog. I think the last post before these 2 books was like a year ago. Before that was like 3 years. So I'm a bit behind in getting time to actually write my thoughts out in words and post them. Not that anybody reads it, but hey, it sometimes it can help to type something out to get your thoughts out there. So yes, I have written some reviews for both of them. So yeah, that's good. I was really pleased to get through those books and all those Audible stuff, and I'm really pleased to spur of the moment to order the book.
I should tweet out your links for your blogs. That'd be good.
Yes.
You can read them.
Yes. And I would say both books get a thumbs up. So, spoilers. Okay, so, right. Ryan, news time. It's time for news. I'm going to slurp in my tea a minute.
Where's the holocron?
I think the news this past month was rather slow. Last month they dumped a lot of stuff for February. In the past month, I really didn't find anything that was, because I like big stuff that applies to the entire universe. So the only kind of news thing that I have for this month is a very small thing. And I only wrote it down because it's important to me. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Is that they announced the release date for the Lego N1 Starfighter from Boba Fett / Mandalorian, which I have been hounding about since day one. So the release date is June 1st, which is my birthday. So I pre-ordered it right away. So because I've been wanting to sit next to my fire spray, and I've been waiting patiently. They announced it. They got the release date again of June 1st for $60 for anybody who wants to go out there and pre-order it. A little high, I think, but this is really going to be a one that probably disappears really fast, considering that the original N1 Starfighter from the prequels shot up in price by like $100. So I scooped up this one real fast because I want it really bad.
Ryan, exclusive or anything, or just general release date in that 1st of June?
General release date.
Cool. Yeah. I would imagine that will not last on shelves because kids alike, are definitely going to want it. Any fan is going to be after that as well as collectors, because I'm sure it's going to be very, very cool. That silver styling, all those extra pieces and parts. Was there any box art or any sort of pictures of it released with the news? Or just an announcement that it's coming? All right, cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like a Lego N1 Starfighter, but silver. And I'm trying to think. The figures that come with it are Mando, Grogu, Peli, and her little droid. So those are the figures that come with it.
Cool. And Lego was salivating at them redoing it because the changes or the additions to it probably didn't affect their Lego, their N1 that they already had. Like, do you think they totally started from scratch, or did they just go back to the mold and print those in the silver chromy color, whatever? So yeah, Lego's quite happy with it.
It's a big revamp because, like you said, the technology has changed. The way they print pieces has changed. They had to redo where Grogu sits. They added the piece of the motor on the front that, was for engine rattling. So they added all that.
Well, I guess scale. If it's the same, we'll know right away. If it's the same size, then they retool, or they were able to reuse a bunch of stuff. But if it's different, if it's bigger or anything like that, then it's a whole new set.
It's bigger. I think
it's a whole new set then. Okay.
Yeah, the N1 Starfighter, I think, was only like not even 100 pieces, and this one's over 400. So.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, the original one. Yeah, the original N1 Starfighter. Yeah, it's 43 pieces. And this one is 412 or 413. So it's
a little more.
And everything's totally redesigned. The engines are bigger. They have full size engines. Oh. So I'm extremely excited because I needed something to fight my fire spray when I'm sitting there staring at it. And be like, okay, I'm going to fly through the house with my Lego set as my children stare at me like, what is this guy doing? So. But very happy with that. Other than that, in the news, there's really no announcements from Disney or Star Wars, and I think they're just they're going to be holding everything back for the next couple months during our drought.
Long drought.
I'd say some news. That Halcyon Star Wars themed hotel is now officially open.
Yeah.
I believe people can start going to. I mean, you need reservations. It's not like you can just show up and go, whatever. But
if they do like a media,
that's kind of in the news. But everybody that's listening to this would know that the Disney Star Wars Halcyon themed hotel experience that is a 2-night, 2-day thing down in Florida is officially taking reservations. Is open.
I would walk around that thing. Just to see.
It might be a while before I can see that. So
likewise. Yeah, my initial blush of some of the videos and all that is that, it really seems like it's in the wheelhouse for that family with the kids, with having the kids embrace and just get sucked into the immersion, the full immersion of what that experience is. Older fans without kids. I mean, you really have to. not suspend belief, but you just have to go with it. You have to roll with it, and you have to embrace that what it is, and enjoy it in that fashion, and then you can enjoy it. Where I think it's going to be tricky is for someone like, my kids are older, so they're not going to care, want to go, whatever. But if you have that disinterested or quasi-disinterested spouse, it's not going to work in that sense of like with the Disney cruise that we did where it was a Star Wars day, kind of got into it or otherwise just tongue-in-cheeked it for the day and suffered through it. Not suffered, it's not the right word, but just enjoyed it for what it was for that day. But to go to that with somebody that's an uber Star Wars fan and not so much, that I don't think that's going to work for.
It would be kind of hard to like completely geek out with somebody that's kind of like, oh, this is weird.
This is silly. You're weird. This is what is this? And you have to embrace. It's like going to a musical or a play or something. You have to embrace that. That's not just some Yahoo up there. They're trying to be in character. So enjoy it for that, and you're immersed in it. Then I think it's enjoyable. Then I think it would be fun, worth it. The money that you hear is being thrown around sounds like it's very expensive, but everything's expensive. So. Someday maybe, I don't know. I texted my relatives and I'm like, you better get your boy down. My nephew, he's 9 and will be 10 late in the year. I think his birthday's in October. Yeah. So like, you better get him down here now while he's potentially still. He's almost at the cusp, I think, of going eye rolling because he's too old for that kind of thing now. But yeah, that cost factor is huge.
Ron, the newest book they published for the High Republic, it does feature the Halcyon in there.
Yeah, I've heard that. And no surprise, because the book that came out with Vi Moradi, shoot, I'm not going to think of the name of it, but I listened to the audiobook, and that was right before I was listening to the audiobook because we were going down to Galaxy's Edge as our first trip, and was going with my nephew and all that. So I wanted to be, know about, it was an advertisement for Galaxy's Edge. It made sure it hit and had all the bullet points of the food in this location and that location and that location and that location. So I don't doubt that the other books, also have the Halcyon as a tie-in. There's nothing wrong with that. That just makes it all so much more the bigger, if you will, and helps. To call it a crummy commercial, it is a little bit of the a Christmas story. Wait, all this for a crummy commercial for Ovaltine or whatever it was, but it helps.
Disney's been like that since they opened, though, because the Sleeping Beauty Castle was only Sleeping Beauty at California because the movie was going to come out, so that was a tie-in in itself. So there's nothing wrong with it. I think it helps the immersive aspect and immersive nature of what that experience is to be for families, kids, and it's cool because
big kids at heart.
Like you said, the books for the Galaxy's Edge, like I read a couple of the comics and stuff like that. So I'm walking around there, I'm like, oh, that's from the story, and that's this is the shop that they showed, and it's cool.
Yeah, I agree.
As a nerd, it's really cool to know things other people don't when you're walking around there. So.
Right, very good. Right, so we move on to the meat of the show, which won't mean anything to Ron whilst doing that.
Yeah, Ron's probably going to be totally lost with all our little sayings.
I'm getting ready to type BRB for in 30 minutes or something. But go ahead. I will chime in, and I have my questions. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, the Drengir meat of the podcast this month is the High Republic.
We are one.
We should. You can probably play that one at the moment.
Yeah, no.
Ron missed it.
Do it.
We are going to go Dyvera, Drengir style, all these books and comments as best we can. So I've left this up to our High Republic correspondent here, Ryan, to do our best to try to go through them all and just give people a good idea of what's gone down roughly, because myself, Ryan, and Ricky have been reading this stuff, though I hadn't read one of these books. Ron hasn't. So Ron will probably ask questions that we haven't even thought of, or things that have already been answered. But it's good to have somebody on the outside to wonder what's going on. So take it away, Ryan. High Republic. Remind us of these phases and waves again. So there's 3 phases.
The first one had Light of the Jedi, and then you had Into the Dark.
Well, there's 3 phases. We are currently in phase 1, aka the original trilogy.
Yeah.
consider this the original trilogy, and then there's wave 1, 2, and 3. Each wave is a main movie per se. So
That's it.
So we are finished phase 1, wave 2 with Rising Storm, and now we're leading into the finale of phase 1 of the High Republic.
Yeah. And chronologically, Out of the Shadows was the oldest book that we haven't really discussed. Correct. Confession, I didn't read this one. I skipped it. I can't remember why. I was going through a bit of a time. I didn't have any time on my hands at the time, so I subsequently watched quite a few YouTubes and reviews and stuff. So I spoiled myself on this one. But I have to say that if time allows going forward, I probably will go back and read/listen to this one.
Well, this one has this one's like pretty Vernestra Rowe centric. I was surprised that she was in this one that much, because this was like a team up between her and her Padawan Imri, and was it Colmac and Reef, right?
Yeah, they're the other kind of set of masters and Padawans.
Yeah. So I like Vern's my favorite one from all these books, because she's just like, she has the cool lightsaber that somehow turns into a whip, and now we find out that she has like these abilities where, and she's in hyperspace, she can kind of have like visions and go have like out of body experiences and see things that aren't there. So, which I mean, that it starts off in this book, but it does carry over a little bit into the other stuff. And like, I think the main thing from Out of the Shadows that kind of impacts, the main book, like Falling Star, is that Maurice Anteca stuff, because that's significantly like important to the Nile, because that's the whole reason they can hyperspace jump and do all that stuff, because they're using this ancient woman to make these paths for hyperspace link. So which I'm assuming that this is prior to anyone being able to have a hyperspace engine that they can just go anywhere and calculate it by themselves, doesn't it? Yeah, like Han.
Well, they use robot. Yeah, because it's almost. Yeah, the Santecas were explorers, and she just happens to be force sensitive enough where she can kind of feel out these paths. And honestly, I think Vernestra has that too, because in a very early way, because they talk about her feeling out paths and directions and situations like that. So Vernestra has definitely grown on me from Test of Courage to the rest of her novels. Yeah. She's gotten to be a pretty big player, so I'm excited to see where her future is.
And who was the main character in this one? She was a Yarrow, right? And her mom was
Chauncey Yarrow.
Was that the mom or was that the daughter? I don't remember.
That's the mom.
That was the mom.
That's the mom. Yeah,
Chauncey's the mom. Yeah.
Yeah. So then her she's assuming that, I guess they got attacked by the Nile and her mom was gone. Pretty much, she assumed her dead. But then you end up finding out that she's actually working with the Nile, which I liked how they have like all these little characters that just kind of, I mean, it does kind of start seeming like it's a small little galaxy with these characters, because this is the mom and this is the daughter and this is the cousin of this guy. But but yeah, no, I like I had no idea that it was going to tie into the Nile that much, this book. But I'm kind of glad that I did decide on reading this before I read the other stuff, because it has the Senator Staros gets kind of set up in this book as being in the center of all the, because I guess you have two families that were what do they call them, prospectors, right? Because they would go
hyperspace
out
prospectors.
Yeah, they'd go out and try to find hyperspace lanes, and then they'd capitalize on that and sell them to the Republic and all that stuff. So pretty much they're forging roads and making pretty much galactic railroads for trade routes and stuff.
The Santecas and the Graphs was the other family.
Yeah, the Graphs, that's what it was. Yeah, the Graphs. So yeah, I did like Lorna D doesn't show up in this one, does she? No, not that I remember. No. Yeah, so
at the very end. At the very end, they mention her.
Yeah, they do mention her. So this takes place after Tempest Runner, I'm assuming. Or was it before? I can't seem to remember, but
it's the way that the timeline is laid out. This is Out of the Shadows is quotations a couple months, and Tempest Runner is verified 3 months from Rising Storm. So it's hard to say that it's hard to track the timeline for everything, because a lot of them list a few months ago, or it feels like longer. So the time between Rising Storm and Fallen Star is very loose, because everything is only counted as a few months. So I think there's only a 6-month span between them. I think in one of the comics they say the past year and a half has been rough. and I know it's a year between Light of the Jedi and Rising Storm, so
Hmm.
very loose between the phases.
Yeah, and this one had a lot of cool stuff with her Padawan Imri that he's like an empath, and he can like sense. I think it was in this book he was able to do some ancient kind of meditations, so that way he's not overwhelmed with if there's a bunch of people panicking, then he starts panicking too, kind of thing. Which I mean that's
Yeah, kinda
cool
like-
seeing. Yeah.
Buri Yaga. Buri Yaga connects to people, and
Yeah.
Emery connects to him too. But he has the ability to change people's feelings.
Yeah.
And Vernestra was very uneasy by it because I think she's only 17 or 18 in this book.
18, I think now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which they
so
keep kind of
she's
emphasizing
very
she's the youngest Jedi. They in every book
Yeah.
it says it like multiple times, but yeah. But no, I did like this one, and then all the stuff with like I said with the senator and all that stuff. This one was weird because you have people that aren't really like, and you see the Jedi and you see all these other people that are actually successful in Star Wars, where these are characters where like she needs to do this stuff because she has no ship, and they need to make money, and she has her her crewmates doing other things while she's getting involved in all this crazy stuff. But at the end of this book, you see, you find out that her mom is alive, and she teams up with Nan, right, from Into the Dark.
Yeah.
At the end of this book, yeah. Which it goes into the Fallen Star, which the prologue of that book is what happens with them. So I was kind of glad I read those two back to back because it did kind of help out in that way. But yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering what the path was that Mary Santeca gave her, and what is she going to use it for?
Yeah.
'Cause it hasn't
So to
really
dial
been
more in
explained
on that, it was for some reason Marchion Rowe gave his most valuable asset, which is this, Mary Santeca, who designs all of his paths, which gets, he's always said, I can appear right above Coruscant if I wanted to, and they couldn't stop me. And I remember, if Ron remembers, that we discussed in the past that it's almost no one was able to hyperspace jump into a planet's gravity into these paths. So this is all a tease, almost the original trilogy that seems like nothing, and it's obviously something really big.
Yeah, the Star Destroyer just
Yeah,
popped
she's
up.
the biggest asset. And then she's the one that helped free Loden, Great Storm, and Rising Storm. And, now she leads Vernestra all the way to her. And Vernestra kills her. So, I mean, she asked Vernestra to kill her.
Yeah.
She's hundreds of years old. So, but then, like you said, Mary Santeca gives her a path that leads to the edge of the galaxy. So I kind of wonder if that's going to be like an Exegol thing or what.
Like,
Mm.
what
Because
would
I
they
remember
use it
Exegol's
for?
pretty far away too.
I mean, when I originally heard that, when I was listening to that and reading about it, not the actual book, of course, but the path that she gave Vernestra, I was thinking, that'd be to no space. But then, of course, subsequently, that is shown not to be true because that comes out in the comics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
so I got really confused. Then it's what has she? Probably we're not going to find it. Well, we're not going to find it for quite a while.
Yeah, I think it'll be phase 3, I think.
But you think like if she does use it like at the end of all this, like to defeat Marchion Rowe, she sends him out somewhere and he's like just stuck, and unable to get.
Kind of like the Source Wall from DC, if you guys read that.
No.
But no, I think it's definitely a planet, that
Mm.
leads to something. Or she might gain power and knowledge. So it's hopefully this phase 2 will talk about Santecas.
Yeah, I wonder it's where they we haven't got to them yet, but where the Nameless are. Maybe it's that place.
Well, didn't he find it in the what was the book where wasn't that Rising Storm? Where he's going? Isn't that the
Where
thing
he
that was
what?
in the cave? And then he ended
That
up
was
finding
Rising
it.
Storm, yeah.
Yeah, it was Rising Storm.
That's where he found the leveler, the other piece of the leveler.
There's one half of it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Which even still reading the comics and stuff, I'm like still confused on how that whole stuff works because it's like a beast, but it's a gun. I'm kind of
No, it's a pole. It looks like a lightsaber hilt, but
Hmm.
with no blade.
with no blade.
Yeah.
Have you read Eye of the Storm 2?
I just read one. I didn't read two.
It's a bit like
Oh, dude.
yeah, it's a bit like a he presses it and then they are attracted to it like a moth to the light.
Oh,
sort
okay.
of.
I thought it was like a Pokemon
Yeah.
where he like throws the ball and then it comes
No,
out and
dude,
attacks.
Dude, you got to read Eye of the Storm 2. It has so much information.
I was
Like,
kind of I was kind of worried about spoilers for Midnight Horizon, so I might do that. I'm gonna start reading that today.
It's
so.
worth it. Honestly, it's worth it. I don't care what happens in Midnight Horizon. I was just happy to read that Marvel comic Eye of the Storm 2 because it literally capped all my questions. that I had from Rising Storm, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
No, the Trail of Shadows, you finish all that, and that kind of did help, showing what it actually looked like and stuff.
We'll come back around to the comics.
Yeah.
Though. So, and some of the stuff on the Out of the Shadows. Apparently, Chancey Yarrow is extremely smart. I love that she's like a scientist, which will tie into later that we'll touch on. But she was building something that sucked people out of hyperspace.
Oh yeah, the gravity well. Yeah.
That was really cool. But it was destroyed by the Jedi by the end of the book. But then the thing that I read the end of that book like 3 times just because it was I had my mind blown trying to figure out what was happening. But apparently Nan joins up with Chauncey and that they're actually working for Lorna D and the Graff family, and they want to double cross Marchion Ro.
Yeah.
Is that what you got out of it too? Because like I said, I had to read it 3 times because I felt like this is a major thing for the future if Lorna D is actually working to double cross Ro with the Graff family.
See, and at the end of Tempest Runner, I was kind of assuming Lorna went her own way, but then she pops up in the other book. But yeah, I mean, it does look like whatever the Graffs are doing, they're working. Well, then she says she's not working with the Nile, but then Lorna is Nile, so I don't. Yeah, I think she's trying to start her own. I mean,
yeah, I feel like Lorna's always working for herself.
Yeah,
I have to say that the whole Nile dynamic and ex-Nile and people will tie in with the Niles and stuff. That whole dynamic has got very grey and murky, really, trying to work out who is really loyal to who and who knows what and who is planning this, who's planning that, and that kind of stuff. Aside from Ro, who we can be pretty sure where he sees himself in things. Everybody else it's all very murky. I find and as I said in my review of The Fallen Star, which we haven't got to yet. Now I really can't figure out. She sort of changes every chapter in terms of who she's going to be loyal to. So it's really, I find her very confusing to work out. That might be intentional, it might not. I don't know.
Yeah,
well, she knows that
Lorna had Marie, right? Santeca, she had her at the facility. She asked for her, and that's why they're doing their experiments. So yeah, I think she was, trying to double cross Marchion.
Yeah, Marchion gave it to her though. That's why Nan is there, because Nan was sent to watch over Mary Santeca. So once she died, Nan's like, I can't go to Marchion. So that's when she left with Chauncey. Yeah, she's like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go make money with the Graff family. And so she split. But yeah, I think Lorna just wants power, just like Ro doesn't care about the Nile. Lorna knows it. She's just like, I'm gonna start doing my own thing. So yeah, they're eating themselves for sure.
Okay, moving on chronologically. Mission disaster. It's a disaster trying to say it. Mission to disaster. Was we say in the UK, disaster, darling, disaster, which was a junior novel book, or middle grade, as I read somewhere.
Middle grade, yeah, they say middle grade.
Means nothing over here in the UK, middle grade. So I was like, what? Which actually was the last one that I read, but I'm absolutely useless at being able to describe what I've just read. But that is chiefly a Fleischer Ro and Imri sort of story. But as I always picking up my review, it's really all about Avon. And sort of Imri and Fenester sort of play sort of a back role to it until you get near the end. So Avon Starros, so she's the daughter of Senator Starros.
Senator.
Yes. Who else we find is the mole, or one of the bigger moles. Probably not the only mole that Marchion has in the Senate. But as well, it doesn't actually. We do know that from the Fallen Star. I'm getting ahead of myself now, but. Yes, she plays a much bigger role to come. Yeah.
Well, they kind of plant the seeds in the end of this one because Avon figures out like, well, I never told her about, the Nile.
Yeah.
Scientist,
that's the end of it. Yeah.
Doctor, whatever. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Which is kind of odd, wasn't it? It's a bit like a classic Scooby-Doo sort of thing, wasn't it? Where the villain sort of lets someone out and they go, wait a minute, so you're really blah 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 and that kind of stuff. It's like, what? Yeah, she sort of dobbed herself in then. She's sort of clever enough. I'm sure somewhere she must have known that she said that. So Mission Disaster centers around the planet of Downer. Downer, which is Dolna, not literally Downer, as I wrote originally.
Which was mentioned in, what was it, Test of Courage? Because that's where Honesty Weft was from. The kid that was a warrior.
Yes. Yeah, that's his planet.
Yeah, that's his planet.
So essentially, Avon Starros, wherever she's working on this, forgotten the name of it, is Port
Halili?
Port Haney. Yeah,
Elliot, yeah.
Port Haney, wasn't it? She's working for somebody there. Nihil attack, kidnap her. No, they think they only kidnap her from that one. It's not clear.
No, they get a whole lot of kids.
They get a whole lot,
Yeah.
but they've been kidnapping children, basically.
They're
And that's
basically
sort of
doing extreme version of what the Jedi do.
or what Palpatine did at some point, didn't he? But he just murdered them and stuff, didn't he? But there's nothing to do with the Force. They're just kidnapping children, basically, to recruit them and brainwash them early, and then get them to be future Nihil.
Yeah.
It's basically the thing of it. And they take her. So they kidnap Avon, take her away on the ship. But as it happens, the ship is only just over the other side of the planet from where most of the other action is going on, isn't it? On Downer. And stuff. And there's this whole conspiracy with the government and the Prime Minister. And to be honest, I got a little bit confused about who was who in that kind of stuff, because some elements of the government on Downer are allowing the Nihil to be there. Some were in cahoots with the Nihil.
Yeah, the president was a Nihil, right? The
Yeah.
actual president.
He was pretty much taking Nihil payments to let them do what they want.
Yes. So as Avon is held captive, all these other kids on this ship is just over the other side of the planet. She basically tries to escape a few times, and then in the end, because the Nihil realise that she's actually really, really clever and knows her stuff, they get her to team up with the doctor. I can't remember his name, but the lead scientist with the Nihil group there, and start making
Kampa.
Yeah.
it was really interesting. I found as time went on, building synthetic kyber crystals. I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's building, and Avon obviously realizing what the doctor is actually making them for, which is obviously bad stuff. She tries to make them deliberately less perfect kyber crystals, but she doesn't make them as less perfect as she thinks she's making them, because as it happens that the kyber crystals she's been helping him make is used in a machine that creates earthquakes on this planet, which is already incredibly unstable with plate tectonics and stuff. So it doesn't take more than the sleaze really to let off an earthquake on this planet. But that's what I think the Nihil were using that as a sort of their bargaining thing, wasn't it? That if you don't do as we say, we're going to just let this weapon off, and your ship and your planet's all going to go to hell, sort of thing, basically.
I did like that they mentioned that, like, you can't replicate a kyber crystal, but then she kind of did. Like,
Yes,
that's kind of alluding to, like, the way the Sith, the red crystals used to be synthetic.
Avon is exceptionally clever. I found her amazingly entertaining in this book, really. Sort of the star of the show, I found. They did sort of form a little bit of a bond, but then sort of not much of a bond, because they're both cleverer than anybody else there.
Yeah, she was trying to do the whole, like, oh, here's a juice box, and here's some candy, and here, I'll give you whatever you want if you help me destroy people. So she was kind of trying to bond with her.
So, but it's basically it's all about Avon in the camp, helping the doctor make these kyber crystals, which have been used for weapons of mass destruction. We've heard it all before somewhere. And but at the same time, Finesta and Imri are trying to track her down. They come to Downer, and then through a series of other sort of short story plot holes and stuff, they find that they're not actually far away. So then they go off and basically rescue Avon. But at that sort of time, the doctor thing goes ape. So something a bit like General Grievous. It suddenly she goes, doesn't she? So it's like parts of her arms coming over, off shooting and scurrying, all that kind of stuff. It's like,
like rockets on her wrist or something like that. She was
just went absolute bat ape.
Kind of like Boba Fett, where they had the cybernetic implants and the weapons and all that stuff.
And sort of obviously sets off this earthquake machine. So then it all becomes about trying to get off the planet. And then we get Imri was sent away to Starlight Beacon to get reinforcements to help with the relief effort. And eventually they hype up this way of bringing Starlight. That's it. They built Starlight, but the actual parts to actually put the hyperdrive in place hadn't been delivered and stuff. Yeah. So I think it's probably we're going to find out it's deliberate. Probably a Senator Starros kind of thing of delaying that, because obviously that would have helped them.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that. I just assumed it was. I just assumed it was slow construction. But yeah, it could have been held up by Senator Starros.
Yeah, everyone's parent is evil.
There seems to be not that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Starros, and you have what's her name? The other one from the other book.
So is Imri's plan sort of, I suppose, to hyperspace tow Starlight Beacon to the planet of Delna to help with the relief effort and stuff? And that's, I'm trying to think what happens right at the end there. They sort of
Well, then they have the Halcyon is there because it's a huge ship and it has the hyperdrive capability to help tow it. So then they go to Delna and they try to get everybody off the planet before it explodes. So with all the lava and everything, so
it gets covered. Yeah, it gets covered in lava because it's such a young planet. The crust is so thin. It'll take 2 weeks for lava to pretty much destroy the planet.
And then they pretty much figure out that, like, oh, we don't need to have all these ships go rescue people from planets. We can just take the space station to those planets and just jump down atmosphere and grab people and ferry them back up.
So
I thought that was an interesting tie-in for Ball and Star. For being towed.
So at the end of the day, the Nihil actually, in the whole grand scheme of this, actually get away again.
Yeah, they kind of just leave, which I didn't know.
I'm assuming the Doctor goes with him. I'm pretty sure we'll see that Doctor again.
I don't know her fate because she stayed behind to activate the seismic weapon, which caused the earthquakes, and it blew up. Well, then she got up and then she fought. I think she fought for Nestra. And then she just ran off into the woods.
She ran off.
But the Nile were long gone because remember the Nile attacked the city and then flew off because they're just like, let's just bomb the city and leave real quick because we know the Jedi are coming. And M. Campa stayed behind, so I don't really know her fate.
And we don't. Well, I assume this group of Nihil are actually working for Lorna D. But I mean, this actual group was under control of I've forgotten her name already. I was about to say it and I forgot. Kira Sue, which I thought didn't she on Kaminoan? Isn't she a Kaminoan? That was another name sounded familiar. Yeah, but we don't really.
She's
know
a Quarren.
Yeah, we don't actually know for sure, but probably something to do with Lorna D. But I don't know.
Kira's a Tempest runner, so she has her own party.
Oh right, it's just doing her own thing basically.
Yeah, probably sent there by Ro or whatever.
Yeah,
because they were working on the crystals. And, I found that was an interesting link, where they're creating the crystals. So early technology for what would soon to be Galen Erso's weapon.
Yes.
He's the one
I
that
do
really
like the nod to like Rogue One where the whole thing with Galen Erso was trying to make energy out of the kyber crystals. And that's kind of what Avon's doing, like early versions of that.
Yeah, because she just thinks it's impossible. She's like, it can't be done. So she made a bunch of fake crystals that would blow up the earthquake machine, but it didn't blow it up fast enough. So I think this book had some good teasers for Phase 2, because it seems like Phase 2 is going to focus pretty heavily on Dalna, because it says Dalna 150 years ago was when the Jedi Temple was put on there. And there was a devastating battle between Dalnans and Jedi known as the Knights of Sorrows. So it seems like the Jedi are probably going to make a pretty big mistake on Dalna because the people really don't like the Jedi at all. Like there's some confusion.
You don't think that planet can later on be renamed to Mustafar? If it's covered in lava?
It's interesting, yes.
I don't know. I don't know how Mustafar appeared in the... Did it appear in the Old Republic? I don't know.
I don't remember.
It could. Oh. It would be weird to rename a planet.
It would be kind of weird. But it does happen in real world. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this was one
of my...
Would
it help to hide the planet? To renaming it in an attempt to hide it?
Oh, that's true. If it has something on it.
That would be a very interesting tie-in. And, might well fit into the bigger picture more than we know at the moment.
I think it's quite possible. It's a cool theory. It's a bit of a stretch to do all of it because I don't know if Delna really has anything. I mean, I think they were just kind of getting energy. It was I think they said they only had 1 million people on the entire planet.
Yeah, and they just made those berries that everybody loves to eat.
Oh, yeah, it was berries that they were making. Yeah, that's what it was. So I think Dalna has a big role. And after rereading the comics, Yoda even mentions being on Dalna, too. So Dalna's going to play a big role in Phase 2, I think.
But where is Yoda during all this stuff? Because I don't know if I missed... Because I didn't finish reading the Adventures comics. Like
he went off ages ago. He went off
on a ship, right?
Mission, didn't he? And then I haven't seen him since.
Yeah, he went on a mission. I just read it out of the Adventures comic this morning. He went on a mission with Crix. Crix and Zine from Adventures.
Yeah.
So appeared in Rise of Star. He went off with their not president, but their leader, his tribe. Yoda and him went off to find the very first piece of the Leveler, and they were shot out of the sky. So I think they're crashed on a planet in I think it's Tormund system or something like that. Yeah, but they were shot down, and that was it. I mean, I haven't heard anything from them for the rest of the time. Both of them were shot down.
They kind of want Yoda out the way in some ways, don't they? Because everybody would see him being there with kind of conflict, with sort of. They expect him to be the most powerful Jedi there is, and you wouldn't really want him there. And plus, it gives the other ones time to shine as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to put the big player out off the board for a little while. And Marchion Ro knows who Yoda is, because in like the first couple issues of the Adventures comics, he's like, "Oh shoot, that's Yoda. We got to get out of here." So he definitely knows who he is.
And plus, we always know that he will survive. So it's kind of handy to have it.
Yeah, there would be no danger.
There would be no jeopardy, would there, and stuff, I suppose.
Yeah. But yeah, this book ranked really high. I mean, it was a real short book, but it had like a lot of information. It teased Phase 2 a lot. You know, it had good adventures. It had risks for the Jedi. I didn't know what was going to happen when they were towing everything around. So even kind of knowing it leads up to Fallen Star, I just really enjoyed this book, and this made me really like Vern. This book like really pushed it. I'm like, okay,
they
obviously cares about people.
In Fallen Star, they do reference Dalna and what happened there, but you don't really know because they just kind of
it was weird.
It's one line.
I'm really happy I went back and read through everything because I'm like, they mention so much when you read back through, knowing the end. You read everything, and it mentions just so much about Dalna and all these little pieces. One single line, kind of like, I fought in the Clone Wars, turned into an entire movie. Now you have one planet being like, we had some adventures on Dalna, and now you realize 150 years ago, Jedi may have slaughtered a planet full of people by accident. So it's like very interesting.
As you do.
What was Avon's fault?
Well, yeah, I mean, she got off quite gently, really, didn't you, considering her role in that. But I mean, you can't help but feel sorry for her. I mean, she was trying her best not to help them, but also help them.
And much like Galen, she sabotaged it. If it wasn't for Avon, that earthquake machine would have worked, because the scientist M. Campa was already making crystals, not really kyber crystals, but just focusing crystals. So she was making it work. And it was Avon that's like, I'm going to put some structurally unsound crystals in this thing.
I guess it's better to have one planet get destroyed than a bunch of them, because then they would have just took that weapon to every planet that they, wanted to invade.
Yeah.
Because they did get destroyed, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, the planet's lost.
No,
they said
weapon.
They said it blew up. It just sent a shockwave. It did what it needed to before it blew up. So they can't reuse it now. So.
Okay. Right. So after that is the big one.
The big one.
The Attack of the Clones. Not Attack of the Clones. The Revenge of the Sith kind of.
It would be. Yeah.
Book of this one, which was the Falling Star, the big one. What's that one? The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, I like Marchion Ro in this book. He's just such a bad guy. Like,
do you ever feel like Mr. Loverman playing in the background? Mr. Loverman.
Some Shaggy going on.
He's there like, I'll get all the benefits.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I'll get all the benefits from her.
I forgot that's
really, I'm not that interested at all.
Did they play music in the background of the audiobook? Did
they play what?
Did they play any music in the background on his ship?
No, I don't know, because we do get, there is a bit of love action, isn't there? But we hear about it. I don't think thankfully don't go into it. But we know exactly what to expect from this book, thanks to the front cover, really, and the image on the front, which really gives out the whole idea that we know that the Starlight Beacon is going to crash and burn, quite literally. So it's kind of the how is how the heck did they get away with it, really? Basically, all comes down to Nihil, sabotage.
They basically, is it like two guys that they end up sending down there? Three.
Yeah, it's three.
And then they have like a cargo ship.
And they basically sabotage the Starlight Beacon.
Over like a course of a week,
have
right?
No idea any of this is happening because of the nameless creatures which are on the station, which Cloud or Dole. Well, it wasn't totally clear, was it, in the book? They sort of dolls.
I feel like adults, because they're always like, it feels like something's off, but I don't know what.
Yeah. And also, this is when it was revealed that Senator Starr is the mole, and she basically gave the Nihil the blueprints to the Starlight Beacon,
Yeah.
telling
And
them
then she
exactly
left.
what they need to do and how to do it without anybody noticing that it's happening. And obviously, they wouldn't have without the nameless, the Force creatures thingy, they probably wouldn't have achieved it. They needed all those elements together that the Jedi wouldn't know that what's going on. And plus, Mark and Ro had always Nihil go all over the place, attacking various different planets.
And that's what I was wondering.
The Jedi
If that was his plan all along, because in the one we were talking about, like, was that his plan to like just blow up the planet and then just like leave and not just occupy? Because I don't know if he got the idea from what happened on Dalna, because then
Blow up what planet?
well, how on this book he kept sending storms to go attack planets and then create a catastrophe so that the Jedi can go out there and try to rescue people. So I'm like, I wonder if
he
that
just
was
tried to create
his plan.
havoc and spread everybody thin.
But was
yeah,
Dalna
absolutely.
like an inspiration for him, or did he plan Dalna too?
I'm not sure how Dalna ties into it.
That's why I'm kind of.
I think they're just kidnapping kids there, and that's just
because after they tow it to Dalna, then they tow it to whatever planet that
Iram.
Imram or whatever Ero.
Irham,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, because they had some kind of like water shortage thing there, and they're trying to make a pump or some kind of trying to clean the water or do something there.
There was a giant hurricane
Yeah,
that
the
damaged it, and they had like no clean water. All their levees or whatever was broken, so they're going there to help people and help everything rebuild. And I think he just wanted to smash it. That's pretty much it.
And so you got all these
bring
people.
down the symbol of the Jedi.
They start taking all these people from all these planets that they're helping, and then basically they put all citizens on Starlight Beacon, and then it gets attacked, which is genius for him.
Well, because that's how the Nihil sneak. That's how the Nihil sneak in.
So one of the first things to do, the Nihil sort of come in right through the front door, basically, with
Like no one's paying attention.
Yeah, with the nameless creatures on board, or actually Rancors in one and the nameless in the other, as it happens. And of course,
No, they weren't Rancors. They were
the other things, what they
Raptors.
call
Yeah,
Raptors. Raptors and stuff. Yeah. So literally, because of the Force creatures that are on that cargo on one of the ships the Nihil came on, the Jedi just didn't even know that there was anything dodgy coming in through the cargo bay, sort of thing. And these Nihil saboteurs, they basically, the first thing, I think they take out the comms, don't they? They actually screw with the comms so that Starlight Beacon can't call for any help. Communications within the hub won't be any use either. And plus, they do it in a way that it looks like everything's absolutely fine from the central hub. So they'd have no idea that anything's being distorted at all. And then the other plan, of course, is the bombs. To absolutely nuke it in the right place so that I don't know, where did they put the bombs to? This in the middle. Did they put the bombs in the middle? So
they're in the middle.
So obviously a weak.
And they put it at the bottom.
Yes, so that the Starlight Beacon sort of
At
rips
the
in half.
reactor.
Basically. I think the top half goes down first, and then the second half goes down afterwards. And at all this point, the Jedi have absolutely no idea what's going on. Right through, the Jedi fall victim to the Force creatures. Don't really bother to investigate that to any great degree, which at the time, I was like thinking,
the one Jedi kept saying like, "Oh, it's nothing. You guys are just paranoid because there's a bunch of people here," and then he dies.
that was what was he called? Reginald.
Yeah, Reginald.
Whatever it was, Reginald. Who I really
Cole.
liked. Reginald Cole. As soon as he was introduced at the start, I thought, they're giving him a lot of time here. I bet he dies.
Yeah, I was bummed. He was funny. I really liked him.
He was really quite funny. He was like he was like the Jedi version of Leox, wasn't he?
Well,
Yeah,
then he was
I felt that.
interrogating from the other book, Nan and what's her name?
Chauncey.
right? Yeah. And they're like, we didn't do anything. We're not Nihil.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's I mean, it's absolute chaos on Starlight Beacon. But the only thing, one of the Jedi is it Bell, isn't it? Has the plan to separate the medical tower, which
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I like.
which is kind of cool. So anybody who was injured or half injured and stuff was pulled off. Now I got a little bit confused because then when we read the comics later, Turek and the other ones were in the medical thing that wasn't in the medical tower.
That was before though, right?
I know. I don't know.
Tarek and Sarah were in the medical tower.
Yeah, they were.
Or
I don't remember. I just read that.
I think they're like in the coma tower or something like that. They were somewhere
They weren't where
else.
Indira was?
Or they probably didn't.
Yeah.
I don't
How
think
bad do you feel for
I don't
Bell?
think Bell just knew they were there.
Bell's masters keep getting killed. Like, poor guy. I mean, luckily they found Indira.
Well, I mean, in that,
in the
I mean,
nick of time.
I think only.
Yeah, I
about-
was worried about that too. I knew she wouldn't die though, because I was like, there's no way they're gonna keep killing his master. Like, she'll definitely survive. And she did.
I think actually in the Fallen Star, I think only technically we only know about 4 or 5 Jedi who died, but obviously there's a lot more because there's a lot more.
Yeah, in the comic.
Actually, they managed to get rid of a lot more in the comic, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I was surprised when I read that.
Although technically, I would like to put some bingo bets on how many of them actually did survive and die in that
Burryaga?
comic thing. Burryaga, he's definitely
He's alive.
Yeah,
right?
he's a maybe. Yeah, they left him as a maybe, unknown. I mean, you got to think
can't-
he got sucked out in the atmosphere above a planet. Like,
And he was in the suit.
I'd be interesting.
Yeah, but Leok survived. He had a little parachute in his pocket.
Yeah, the Leox thing. I was confused because they were in atmosphere.
They were within
when
the
he
atmosphere.
fell?
Yeah, they were
Okay.
in atmosphere.
Wouldn't he have
already.
caught on fire?
Not if you're in
that point?
atmosphere. Look at the guy who jumped out of that Red Bull ship. He was
That's-
perfectly fine.
Leox is hot.
I do have a list of
He'd be
I do
fine.
have a list of the people that died in the book.
Okay.
In the Fallen Star, okay, yeah. Oh,
In
no, so
memoriam.
The only
Yeah,
one,
so-
the only one that
Republic.
actually, the only one that really made me sad was the name I've totally forgotten now. The lady, the Path Seeker Jedi.
Oh, Aura
Aura.
Jareni.
Yeah, or Jareni.
Yeah, I
I was-
like
Oh, yeah.
I
Jareni.
felt like she actually had a really good idea what was going on. I was somewhat surprised that she succumbed so
Yeah.
quickly to.
I did like her from Into the Dark too. I thought she was,
She was
gonna stick
okay.
around for a while.
Good for me.
She was just different. I liked her.
Yeah, she was different. I think that's what made her slightly more interesting than the rest.
Yeah, so
so we better go a row of honor. We better have a row of honor then for those Jedi who fell victim in this book.
Well, and it's Reginald Cole, like you said. Nib Asik was killed by the
Yeah, Nib.
Nameless.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's all these Jedi are constantly falling because it's like, I can't find Reginald. Nib will go find him. I can't find Nib. We'll
Yeah.
go find him, and they just keep dying. You know,
Let's separate.
it's-
No,
and that's-
okay.
that's the power of the Nameless type stuff. So
Yeah, they just really
that
had
was
some
really good.
bizarre stuff, isn't there, in this?
yeah, and obviously the very final death, and maybe one of the biggest. Personally, it's not my biggest death. It's because Stellan Geos decided to stay, or however you say it, decided to stay on the
Down
ship.
with the ship.
There was no stopping the falling of Starlight Beacon. So he stayed on to steer it because it was going to hit the city. So he stayed on to steer it away from the city.
Do you think this is like skipping the plot and going straight to a plot strand here? Because Elsa confessed to Stellan that he had a rage and just murdered those Nihil who weren't Nihil, who were just about to save Starlight.
No, he didn't.
But he did kill.
Right.
He killed them.
He told Avon. He was gonna tell, or did he end up not telling Avon? Or
No,
Avon?
he,
whatever.
I think so.
he confessed
Avar.
to Stellan. He confessed to Stellan.
Did he confess to Stellan? Yeah, he said I
Yeah,
killed her. I
did he?
thought
I don't
they were.
remember.
Oh, just done something really terrible, and Stellan sort of like that. I'm just wondering now: is he actually going to tell anybody else now after this? Is this
Right.
is this his route down dark path? That
Yeah, I was so mad at that part. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
look
so
what
that
you're doing.
honestly, that was to like break it down more. That death was the biggest death to me because Elzar Mann has been one of my favorites since the beginning because he's struggling with the dark side. When you're confronted with so much evil that is the Nihil, you know, sometimes you're pushed over the edge. It's like kind of like Batman. I would never use a gun to kill anybody, but then when Darkseid is blowing up the planet, he pulls out a gun and he shoots Darkseid, and that's what happens to Elzar, and it's so horrible in a good way to see him struggle with that. He used the dark side to save all these people in Rising Storm. And he goes through all this training with Orla. He's at peace type of thing. And when it comes down to it, he gets down to the bottom where it just so happens to be that Chansey and Nan are going to save Starlight Beacon because
Just save
they're not
themselves.
part of the
To save
Nihil. Yeah.
themselves,
The
not
whole
to save-
time,
yeah.
they fought the Nihil on the Starlight Beacon the whole time. They tried to reestablish the ejector. What are they? The lifeboats. They tried to save all that stuff because no one could get off Starlight Beacon.
Yeah, the pod.
So they were trying to save everybody. Chansey finally gets down there. She's smart enough to fix it. Elzar Mann jumps down there in a fit of rage and chops her in half with no words asked.
Well, had
that was
they
my
not
mouth.
been selfish, like they could have easily took the suits to Elzar and told him, "Hey, we have suits. Let's go do this." But no, they wanted to just like do it and then leave. So it's like,
Yeah,
That's their fault.
they were being selfish, but man, talk about an arc for Elzar Mann. I mean, my heart sunk. I mean, this poor guy.
and they had just
He goes-
killed like the guys that actually sabotaged the the ship.
That's
Or the
right. Yeah,
statement.
they had just got rid of the bad guys, the real bad
Yeah.
guys.
Fanatic saboteurs from Martian Row who are like, listen, we're going to go down with this ship. We don't care. And Chansey and Nan were like, heck no. And then they killed them and they tried to save the ship. And
They were
Elzar
basically suicide
Man,
bombers.
yeah. And Elzar Man, oh man, to cut them down. So now Elzar Man has the weight of killing his friend. He has the weight of not saving Starlight Beacon because he reacted on impulse. He, collapsed to anger again. And honestly, I don't know how he's going to recover. Like, because he already happened once. Are they going to, there's no way they're going to do another arc where it's like, well, he's going to go make himself feel better and be a Jedi. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah,
And I honestly hope that he's to be repeating. He used the dark side. He felt ashamed. He tried to fix himself. And now
Well,
he did it all again. No way they're
And
going
you
to tell
see
the same story.
thing in the comics too with Avar and with Skier. Like they're like, which Jedi is not gonna fall to the dark side in the series?
That was one of our conversations at the very start of this. Was like, who is the Jedi that's going to turn dark and become the NT kind of Jedi? There's going to be one, and we all kind of felt to start with that it was sort of like, well, it's got to be. Elzar was sort of an obvious one of the obvious. Well, Skier actually was the first obvious one. And then it was sort of like Elzar because of his love of Avar and that kind of stuff. That anything happened to her, he would actually go ape.
And they really laid into that in this book too.
Yeah.
That those three had some sort of relationship.
Well, yes, we better not speculate too much on that one in this here. But yes, I don't know if they had a whole 3-on-1 thing going on or not, but
Didn't seem that way.
they were all very close. Let's say that.
Three's Company kind of thing going on with them. But
Yeah.
I don't know. How good was Geode in this book?
Oh yeah, I can't believe we already
man,
skipped that. That was
he was a star again.
Hero of the Republic. Like when he I love how they write him. It's
Claudia Gray just does perfect in the way that they write him, and he saves everybody. And I honestly thought he was going to die. Yeah, I thought he was going to die, but I was like, oh, I'm so happy.
Because they said earlier on about how he was special and quite resistant to radiation. And they talked about this radiation down the bottom. I thought, oh my God, it's Gio who's going to go down to the bottom and save the bottom half of Starlight, and he probably won't survive and all that kind of stuff. As it happens, none of that happened. But he did save the day again. That's really funny. He got straight right in the way of that blaster fire, which then went around like the trash compactor thing in A New Hope and shot the other chap. It was brilliant. And the way she uses him, like Gio just stood there, said nothing. Or Gio would have frowned if he could have. And this kind of stuff. The way she every way that she uses him, so
take
clever.
that frown off your face or whatever, or that worried look off your face kind of thing. Like, it was just funny. I don't know. It was. I liked her. I'm not a big Claudia Gray fan, but I think this was the best one I read of her. I'm not. I didn't really enjoy this stuff.
Lost Stars is amazing.
I haven't read that one yet, so maybe that's why.
Lost Stars was really good. Master and Apprentice was pretty good. Into the Dark was, it was okay as far as the story, but the characters were written perfect. And then Fallen Star definitely feels like it was kind of plunked in the middle. It feels like a middle movie, actually, because you just get right into it. And there's all these questions about how many of these monsters are there? What are these monsters? So, if you're not reading some of the comics or some of the other books, you have no idea what these creatures are.
They don't even show what happened at the other top half of the space station. Like,
they definitely they save that for the comics. So, which is fine. Some stories happen in other areas. That's what happens in all of Star Wars. Like, what's Boba Fett's background? Well, it's in the comics.
I figured that's where they were going with that one. I mean, it's there's quite some funny bits in here as well. Obviously, anything with Geode is quite funny, and Leox was pretty good.
Yeah, Leox was great. He had that thing
that bit when they go into the cargo bay and they're opening up the back of that thing. Is this one got rancors in it or not got rancors? But the other one didn't, so this one probably doesn't. Open it up, raptors in it. Raptors everywhere, sort of thing.
Yeah,
he made it worse.
I thought he was gonna sacrifice himself too. So I almost choked up with that because he pulls himself outside the ship and he saves everyone and he gets the doors open so everyone can blast off, and then he just gets sucked out into the atmosphere. And then he just comes parachuting down like Kite Man, like hey guys,
like a flying squirrel.
So I'm happy that team is still all together. But yeah, the biggest thing is, Avar is back in it. Elzar, I just don't know what they're going to do with him. His story was just so amazing. It was so good.
Well,
and then it ends with Marchion Ro just progressing to the galaxy. I am the eye. The Nihil is in control. And I was like, that's a good way to end it.
He went there to watch it in person, and he didn't have any of the other Nihil show up. He's like, no, I get to witness this. This is my victory. He's like, no one else gets to see it. They can watch it on TV. He's like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm the only one that gets to see it. And then what's her name's mom is just in the background, like kind of like, oh no, like what did I do? And I like the part where they were like, he could hear, and he was kind of annoyed that she kind of whimpered or did something. But then he kind of
when he was
enjoying it,
giving his speech. Yeah. So, and I just find it funny that the reason she went against the Republic and abandoned her role as Senator Staros is because she was in love with him.
Yeah.
Like that.
With the crazy guy.
The reason she turned, it's not something weird, not like, oh, the Republic killed my family. It's like Marchion Ro is a stud, and I'm going to turn my back on the entire galaxy.
It's strange when you think about it. I understand love can change a lot of
things.
Does
he wear a cape? He does, right?
He has like a rug.
I've seen him in a cape, sort of thing, in some things.
It's the capes, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, I understand love can close a lot of things, but it's like bring real world things into it, but it's like falling in love with a dictator of a certain country and that kind of stuff, isn't it? But still knowing how all the bad things they're going to do, but doesn't care as long as you get some love and action. But then even she seems to be a little bit surprised at how far he goes, isn't it?
Well, and then knowing that they kidnapped her daughter in the other book, and she's still like cool with everything, just because
Yeah, in Test of Courage, it was the Nihil that blew her ship up. Like that. That was the kind of question I had. I'm like, the Nihil definitely attacked her ship that killed all the Jedi.
Disaster. Like, they keep messing with her daughter, and I guess now she sent her away. So
yeah, what a terrible mother.
Yeah, she's horrible.
Because the other thing is that Marchion Ro has replaced his main crew with banned
the battle droids,
robot sort of thing, aren't they?
The crazy battle droids. So this is kind of like the precursor to the Trade Federation, kind of,
I thought that was setting up for like he was going unknown, that he was just going to,
I think that's his plan.
It's just going to be him in his Gaze Electric, and off he goes doing his next phase of what he's going to do. But then he has that big celebration of all the Nihil at the end, which kind of skewed that idea in my head.
But he's kind of just using them for now.
Yeah, he just uses them to send them around for destruction, as long as he's the boss.
All the Tempest Runners are dead. I mean, they killed what's his name's dead, right, too? The one in the suit, and then
Zetar. Yeah.
The one that died in Tempest Runner, what was his name? The big dude.
Pan-Eta.
Yeah,
Pan-Eta.
Rocky Balboa.
Pan-Eta's. So Cara Zhu, so she's still alive. The Corran. Lorna Dee's still alive. Yeah. And in the comic, Zetar dies. So he's definitely using them as cannon fodder while he accomplishes his goals.
Yeah. And so once they're all gone, he'll still have his droid army to do whatever he can.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to worry about the Jedi, so because he can just take them out very easily, apparently, with the leveler.
So we've only got where we are at the moment in the High Republic series. We've only got really Midnight Horizon, and that's it to autumn. Is that the case?
Right?
Yeah,
because the comic books are
many sort of the comic series are coming to an end. That's it. Is that literally Midnight Horizon, and then that's midnight until August?
And there's a huge drought.
It's over after that.
Drought in the High Republic.
Yeah, we might as well. We'll just have to take a 2-month break on the podcast. Yeah, there's nothing to discuss. So,
hey, we didn't check in with Ron to see what he thinks of all this, or if he's still there.
I'm still listening. There's a huge drought. Ha ha ha. No, I know what you guys are going for there. Huge drought indeed.
So there is a
dearth of no Star Wars. What are we going to do? We
haven't really, we'll roll this over to a bit High Republic discussion next month. We haven't really talked about the Force creatures and that kind of stuff, which is a whole nother. And of course, what happened, all the extra bits which happen in the comics, which fill it in. And the last comic in the Marvel series, which sort of like crossed more Jedi off the list, or did it?
Or did it?
I am enjoying this era, though. I mean, it's different than the movies. I mean, which is good because we needed like a different story that didn't just follow the same formula. I mean, you have Jedis and Padawans, but it's a little different. And these Jedi are they're really flawed, but they're also very awesome. So it's cool. Like,
Well, I think these Jedi are like I say, I still think they're the peak of the Jedi, but they've never confronted anything like this. And Avar shows that she can not really be turned, but they can be succumbed to anger. Everyone thinks that they're all peaceful until you're succumbed with something more than you can ever experience before, and you're like, how can such evil exist? And you have the power to stop it. You just have to cross the line a little bit. And Elzar's paying the price. I think Avar should stay steady. I mean, she's, the light of the Jedi pretty much.
and then
That's the other thing that I kind of realized. That's the other thing I realized. I've seen someone point out is each one of these books is named sort of, or can be connected to one of the big three characters. So Light of the Jedi is about Avar Kriss. She is the beacon of the Jedi. She's the lead, she's not a master or anything, but people go to her. She was the face of the Jedi that helped save everyone. Light of the Jedi. Yeah. Rising Storm was about Elzar using the dark side. And then Fallen Star is about, the star of the trio is about Stellan. So in him going down with everything. So it's not, Fallen Star isn't about Starlight Beacon. Fallen Star is, Stellan was the most popular because he saved the Chancellor. He was the face of the Jedi according to the TV and news articles. And he was, he ended up taking over Starlight Beacon, and he was a Master Jedi. He was on the council, and he fell. So I found that someone pointed that out online, and it was an astounding connection that each one of those three books is related to those three characters. And I was like, oh my God, it's brilliant. It's perfectly.
Which not reading the comics, and then when that part happened in Fallen Star where he's like, no, I'm in charge now because you abandoned your post. Like, I'm like, wait, when did this happen? Like, I was so confused. And then reading the comics, I'm like, that's what happened. And it was the same exact scene in the comics that it was in the book. So
yeah. And I agree. Again, Avar's another really powerful one. They had to take off the board, and they gave her own adventure, and that's what she was doing. She went after the Drengir, and then she went after the Nihil.
I think what's compounding the issue for the Jedi is that at this time is because they literally are so in the dark about it all. And I was thinking that, I mean, do they not use the Jedi library for anything anymore in this era? Because you remember Obi-Wan in the prequels going, I better wonder what's going on here. We'll find out what's going on in the I read up in the library.
I think they're just like so lax over like a periods of like no conflict that they're just like, it'll work itself out. They're kind of And
like, remember, in Mission to Disaster,
not soldiers. They kind of keep reiterating that. Yeah.
And remember, in Mission to Disaster, the Night of Sorrows on Dalna is locked away.
Yeah,
the Jedi
can't access it.
Yeah, they literally said that's locked away from anybody from accessing. So I'm like, ooh, they definitely screwed up.
Okay.
So to be continued, I guess.
Yes, well, we've only really fleetingly covered all that, and we really need to obviously when we get to Midnight Horizon, which we might all got through by next time, and the stuff that happens in the comics, and really what we need to get to is understanding the state of where it is at the moment, where we are, and what's to come next, which is Back to the Future in some respect, isn't it? Next phase and that kind of stuff. So there's still a lot to discuss on this High Republic stuff. And I thought, where is it going to go? Where is it going to go next? And that kind of stuff.
There definitely is like a tie in between like the input of the Chancellor's office and how the Jedi, assist, and they're kind of becoming like the police force for the Republic. So, which that's the whole prequel dilemma. I like how they're tying it in.
Yeah.
So come on, wake up! Come on, wake up! We've reached the stuff. Hopefully, we said we weren't going to mention this, but we're all secretly hoping for some animated series.
Yes.
On the High Republic, so that makes it easier for the likes of Ron and
shorts would
to engage with this. I
wouldn't mind any like shorts or something like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I would chime in that Disney Plus needs content.
Yes.
My take is the type of fan that I am, that it's so ancillary, so way out there that if it's, I was thinking at first blush they could do a, for lack of a better term, but so that you understand what I'm saying, a low rent version of animation in order to tell these stories. But then that might not do these stories justice. That if this type of fan sees that it's low rent animation about figure or characters, I have no idea what's going on or what accounts, whatever. might not be as inclined to watch it versus if it's good animation, that cinematic animation that the Clone Wars ended up being, then it's watchable in terms of, all right, well, let's watch this and see what this story is all about figure or about characters that I have no idea and story, whether this counts or not. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that would play out should they try to turn this into something streaming content related. There's always that thing, you just don't want to fart out Star Wars. You want good content. I do. I don't want to see them just bombard the Disney Plus channel with all sorts of stuff, because I don't know, then it becomes a little overwhelming, I think, to some extent. So as long as they do right by it, I think it'd be all right.
These books do read.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if they ever made anything based on it. So, because
They would lock
they
them
never
in.
tell story, they never tell stories twice.
Yeah.
They're not going to do books and then do a show. That's exactly the same thing.
Maybe when it comes around to like the last phase, maybe that might be the time where they might introduce an extra element of on-screen stuff. Which
And
won't
plus,
be yet.
there's always the aspect that is, to me, Star Wars is the greatest story ever told on screen. That it's easy to, I've made this argument before, it's easy to tell stories like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, where your initial foray into the storytelling is in a book, because you can paint a picture, you can do anything. I guess I'm going to talk myself out of this because it's 2022. The technology exists that you can do just about anything on screen, especially in an animation environment where you can make planets dissolve, whatever, you can do whatever it is that needs to be done that was painted in words can now truly be put on screen, even if it's live action. So that really doesn't count anymore. But I've always appreciated how Star Wars was told. The Star Wars story was told on screen. So the limitations of George in the 70s, of what he could do, helped to form what the story was. It wasn't truly just a blank canvas. There are some limitations to help shape, mold, and affect the story in certain ways that I think there's something to that in terms of the lightning in a bottle aspect of Star Wars, and capturing that needs to happen that way versus getting authors to write a book, because you can flower up anything in print.
And as you say that, I'm looking at your Shadows of the Empire action figure pictures.
Yeah, I caught myself a couple times saying, these figures I don't care about. These figures I don't care about. No, it's characters. It's not. They ain't figures yet. Hold on.
Okay, folks. Well, we are out of time.
Oh, Stephen, we didn't do our.
What do we do? Oh yes, we've got to give a shout out to who is it? We're giving a shout out to this month.
Kevin Scott. He retweeted.
Calvin Scott. That's it. Our friend in the UK,
friend of the podcast.
Big hi out to fan of the show, probably. So thank you very much, everybody, for this month. We will talk more High Republic and probably other stuff, whatever comes out in the pipeline between then and now. I'm not sure what that's going to be at the moment. And we will be back.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
May the force be with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Go switch off. I am the Senate.
Be sure to follow us online. We're at Facebook at PSW Senate. Join our Positively Star Wars Facebook group, where we all are in there interacting. You can find us on Twitter at PSW Senate. On Instagram, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. And on TikTok, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you.
The Force will be with you, always.
and won't think about it at all.
I don't know if you've got the new Skype in your computers or whatever, but the call screen looks very pretty for me.
That's what I'm seeing. Pretty background, pretty new background.
Yes.
I only got your user bubbles in there, but there's some sort of something to the background.
There's some sort of wallpaper sort of thing, isn't there? I've always thought it'd be nice if we could customize that, so that we could choose when on the back. Not that anybody sees this, of course, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, if you could do that? Because if we all had cameras on, which we don't really want to do, I mean, we could change the wallpaper behind to something funky, which doesn't always work very well, I know, but.
Is it just the four of us? I only see 4 bubbles, but maybe
just
allowed
all
to
of
see.
us.
Well, Ryan should be here. Ryan better be here because
I'm here.
Yeah, he's here.
Ryan just spoke a minute ago.
He's been here. I've seen his clone trooper. No, what is that? That's a
I think it's a fire trooper.
fire troopers, because it's not clone, it's storm, isn't it? Helmet.
Yeah, I believe it's the helmet that gets worn when Mandalorian gets torched in the final episode of season 1. I think it is. The big red stripe down the middle.
Oh yeah, that kind of was weird.
I'm seeing Skype is telling me, that the call screen beta is now active in the previous version, still available in the layout picker, wherever that is.
I don't know.
In the picker of layouts. Wait, I can still do this. Oh, and it shows me that I'm doing it. All right, that's not good.
That's lovely. That's really good. I think I say we were talking about the order of things.
I think Ryan's talking about the order of who's gonna.
Yeah. I just had a really quick think on the fly after you said that, and I was thinking something along because a lot of the comics and the books and stuff interchange with each other. It may not be very easy to totally have it in order. So I was thinking maybe something like the order.
Have it organic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the order could be something like Out of the Shadows, then the comics pre The Falling Star, then Mission Disaster, then Trial.
Mission Disaster is before Fallen
Star.
Star, which is weird.
It is Trial.
Well, maybe
is it Trial of the Shadows, then The Falling Star, then we could do the comics.
Too much to
ask
ask for the layman person, for the informational aspect. Is it too much to ask to perhaps discuss maybe not discuss, but to put it out there that things were released like this, but this book actually, and then but here's the more chronologically order of what it is that you're talking about.
Yeah, if we was doing just books, we could, but it's just the comics which make it hard because the comics go through all the books because they're continuous.
Yeah, I'm actually
maybe to discuss.
I'm actually working on a project that is chronological for and I'm glad I just reread all the comics. So I think maybe covering the comics at the end is better, just because a lot of the stuff
it fills in the gap
is discussed.
And it lets it sort of,
and it's easier to kind of
talk about
discuss the big points like Fallen Star.
Yeah, it lets people talk about the books, because books might be a bit more centric to somebody, and then at the end you could talk about how, and if you even want more fill-in, it's not necessary, but it adds and paints a bigger picture. Here's this comic series that expands upon this story or section.
Yeah, because there's like
complete
pieces missing of the story in the books that is just discussed in the it's shown.
Yeah, so maybe do that. Do the books and list the books and talk about the books or whatever. And then if we have time or at the end or whatever, to say that there are some great comic series out there as well that fill in and really talk about the stuff that you can expand upon and have some great pieces or whatever's in it.
The best thing to do. I was just thinking yesterday, this is sort of prelude to what we're talking about. Just trying to think yesterday, if you only read the main books, like the films, the Skywalker saga, the Griffin and the Republic, you would only see the Drengir for like 5 minutes, wouldn't you?
No, they're not even in there at all.
They are on Vanu.
They're
on Vanu.
They're only in the one book. They're only in Into the Dark. And then, if you only read the main books, you won't even know the Drengir exist, except for the blurb in Rising Storm that Avar Kriss is off doing something.
No. Hang on a minute.
And Avar Kriss isn't in any of the other books.
No. On that Mission to Crash Point they're in, but that's in junior books, isn't it? But
that's a junior book. It's not a main.
Yeah,
but
it's
not part of the trilogy. Quote.
Don't they? They get a little mention. I'm sure they get a little mention on
they do. They just say like,
the comms tower and stuff. and I'm sure they get a mention, but I can't remember now. But I'm just thinking how much that just shows you, well, in a grand scheme of them, they weren't really relevant to the main stuff. Oh, well,
I
that's
want to
not
say
relevant
in Rising Storm, that when John Ram pops up, he says that they've been spreading the Drengir seeds over everywhere, which
Yeah.
wasn't which wasn't in the Crashborn Tower book very much. They kind of like glanced over that, but all that stuff was in the comics, which is weird. But I'm caught up with the comics now, and I'm caught up with the.
That's
So-
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme, Ryan.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
only-
I'm doing a lot of connection.
That is
Not
awesome.
only does this put everything in order, it also catches the Zodiac Killer. So.
that's also how Ryan hacked your company.
Yeah, I'm
he
going to
watched
use that.
Batman,
To
and now
find
he's the
I'm going to
Riddler.
use that to find a good deal on a used car. I'm sure there's some part of the algorithm in there. Will help me with that. That is just awesome. Thank you for sharing, Ryan.
Yeah.
I need that smile.
Yeah, that project is literally everything except the other thing it doesn't include is the manga because I haven't read those.
Yeah,
But this is
Oh.
literally every comic, every book, where it falls out, and reading it all twice to see where it fits. And it's like, oh, because I like timelines. So I'm like, I want to know how the stuff falls
Don't they
out,
have a
lays
time-
out.
They have a release time. No, I thought they had a chronological one on the Star Wars show.
No, it only says, the High Republic era, the Galactic era. It's only
Mm.
like general eras.
Is that like General Veers? Were you willing to post the timeline book? There's a timeline book in the R&V camping section or something. That's number one.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we
They're
could-
releasing. This is a big book that they're going to release, and it
This-
talks
this-
about
we've
all
got this in the news, have
timelines.
we? Is this in the news?
No, because it was just a general book discussion. It's listed amongst a ton of books being released, so no, it's not in the news. But yeah, the book seems really interesting because the author says it's multiple. They literally explain the book like it's the multiverse theory. This is all timelines from all Star Wars stories from
Yeah.
beginning to in multiple universes. And
So
I was
it's
like,
not
oh my
like-
god.
It's not like my
Oh,
Through the Years book where it just shows you this was released in this year, and then after that this was released. It's actually.
So is it,
Yeah,
the timeline.
is it
It
including
sounds-
Legends?
Yeah, they call it like a
Did-
definitive guide, so like really could have an absolute timeline on a lot of stuff.
I'll do my head in.
Brian's diagram's going to be on page 3.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have got a lot to cover. So, in theory, we've got a lot to cover. So, well, if we don't cover it all in half an hour, but I'm sure we can. We'll be going long and fast through all this all. So, I think we best get cracking. Don't you guys think?
Yep.
Everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Okie dokie.